Welcome to the Idea Talks, where we discuss big ideas. The Idea Talks is a weekly podcast with Josh Tice and other leaders on big ideas for life, leadership, and ministry. And I'm your co-host, Drew Polvencia. For more information on this podcast, visit ideanetwork.church.
Hey man, this is the part of the episode where we're supposed to advertise my book.
All right.
So what do you think we should say?
I don't feel bad about it. It's not a shameless plug. It's literally your book. You've put a lot of work into it.
That's a good point. So you need to pick up a copy. And hey, here's the thing. If you buy a copy and you didn't like it,
right,
Drew said he'll pay for you to ship it back.
It's not what I said. At least an In-N-Out burger, I'll ship to them.
You'll ship them.
If it's on the East Coast, it'll be all spoiled, but it's fine. Hey, I'm in this book too.
You are. You're actually in this book. And I say some things that people don't know about you. It's going to be great. I tell some stories.
All right.
Are
Where can people find this book at?
Oh, that's right.
And what it's called.
Okay, so you can pick up this book.
Right.
It's called The Quest for Friendship.
The Quest for Friendship. Insert Galleon's music here.
That really is what it is.
Right. It's happening right now as we speak.
The Idea Network publishing arm of our network has produced this awesome resource, and I really do appreciate it. It's exciting. It really is a discussion of friendship, and I want you to pick up a copy at ideanetwork.church in the shop tab. It's the very first resource at the very top. You can pick it up, and if you put in the promo code free shipping is yours.
All right.
Yeah.
There it is.
Go do it now.
The Quest for Friendship. Welcome to this edition of the Idea Talks. Thanks so much for stopping by. On today's episode, we have a very special guest with us. That is Charity Berkey. Charity Berkey is the founder of Encouragement for Women Who've Been There, where they provide daily biblical encouragement and resources for women around the globe. Charity resides in her hometown of Las Vegas, where she and her husband Neil have served together on staff at Liberty Baptist Church for the past 17 years. Together, they manage the missions, children's, and internship ministries of their church. Though she loves serving in various ministries, Charity's favorite calling continues to be her role as wife to Neil and homeschool mama to their 4 children. Charity's going to be talking today about the vital topic of how to maintain volunteers in your ministry. Here's that audio.
All right. If you didn't get a handout, my husband just went out and he's going to get some more for us. But I'm glad you guys are here. If you're in here, it's maybe because you're, a children's ministry leader, or you're a youth leader, or you're or you're in charge of all of those people, and they come to you and they're like, "No one ever wants to serve. I'm always stuck serving. I never go to church. I need to be ministered to." And I think we've all been in that situation if we have served in ministry at all before. So I have a lot of ideas that we have implemented. I'm hoping to get a lot of ideas from you all. What you've seen that you've done, that you've seen work. But I would really, we are looking to hear from you as well. But I will give you the things that have worked best for us. But you have your own church, and you have your church has its own identity, its own culture. And so everything that we do might not best work for you. So we are looking for ideas from you as well. In my home, we have 4 kids, and I love them to death. We have, I would probably call our little 6-year-old boy, he's probably the destroyer. He comes in and he lives life to the fullest. My little girl who's 4, she's an informer. She lets everybody, when the destroyer is doing something, the world needs to know Lincoln is doing this or whatever. Then we have our little girl, Cherish, who is 8 years old, and they are all wonderful. They're all fabulous. But she would be our chief problem solver. If she sees Lincoln doing something, she's going to come right in, and she is going to say, "Oh, Lincoln, this is not a good idea. This is what we need to do instead, and this is how we will change this up." And then there's my oldest, who he doesn't care what's happening unless it's affecting him. And he's 11. He looks around and is like, "It's no big deal." So 2 Christmases ago, my then 4-year-old, I walk out from my upstairs bathroom, and I just finished cleaning it, so I smell all these chemical smells, and I walk out, and I smell smoke. And I'm like, when you have 4 kids, you don't want to smell smoke in your house unless you lit something, And I thought, What in the world is that? So I go running downstairs, and I see my son Lincoln with an egg crate, and he's 4, and he's standing over the trash can, and there are flames that are about this high from out the egg crate, and he's going, and with every blow, I mean, he is freaked out of his mind. With every blow, the flames just keep going higher and higher and higher. And I look at him, and if all the other children are there, Felicity would have been like, Mom, Lincoln is burning things, Lincoln is doing whatever, informing me. We would have had Trey, who's like, hey, he's going to get in trouble. Hope he doesn't burn his hands. Don't burn any of the food because I'm hungry. And then we have Cherish, who would have come in and said, oh, this is not a good idea. Let's put this into the water and let's make sure nothing gets done. And she would have come in and she would have problem solved. Instead of saying, oh, ignoring the problem or creating more of a problem by causing a fiasco and yelling around and doing everything. We want to be, as ministry leaders, chief problem solvers for our volunteers. Because don't we have the person that is the informer? Oh, you know what's going on in this and this and this and this. Oh, and there's no more snacks. None of the 2-year-olds have snacks. And oh, what a horrible day. 45 children got saved today, lady. It's okay, somebody lost their shoes. We'll buy them a brand new pair. But you have the informer that wants to let you know everything. And then you have a destroyer who might come in and really mess things up for you. You're like, I cannot believe this new guy just came in and totally destroyed everything. We went through training. We did everything we were supposed to. What? He messed it all up. Then you have the person that's like, I'm getting out of here. It doesn't matter. I didn't do it. It doesn't affect my classroom, so I'm out of there. If we decide to be the chief problem solver, we will help not only those below us that are under us, but we will also help those above us. So if every little problem I become the informer, if I'm like, oh, the people that love to use social media to tell how horrible something went on at church. Oh, aren't they a blessing? Oh, this and this and this happened. And you're like, somebody got saved. No one died. I'm so happy. When we become the chief problem solver, we help our lead pastor. We help our lead pastor's wife. We are a help to those above us, those below us. Instead of me saying, oh, those below me, I'm having such a problem with this. Pastor Tice, they're doing this and this and this and this, and I'm so annoyed with this. They're not doing their job. They didn't do their checklist. Instead of just focusing on, okay, how can I be a problem solver? Out of my 4 children, I love all of them. They are wonderful. Excuse me, I need some water. If anybody has a bottle of water. Thanks, April. If we choose, right there. If we choose to be the chief problem solver, we will be a benefit to everyone in the ministry. And that doesn't come originally from me. That comes from Craig Rochelle. I love his podcast on leadership. If you haven't listened to it, I highly recommend it. I love listening to it. I love, especially if you are in similar areas like I am. He does a lot of stuff teaching on leading from the middle, because a lot of times we don't have the authority to say, oh, this needs to be done laterally with somebody else. But it helps you be like, oh, or somebody above that you see an issue and you're like, what do I do? He really helps out. So that's one of the resources I put on the bottom. I listen to that about once a week, and it's been very helpful to me personally in leadership. So we're going to talk about, like I said, I'm going to just fill you with a lot of different ideas that we have used and that have worked for us. Let's start with recruitment. Okay. The whole, that old baseball movie, if you build it, they will come. It is a lie. We have an awesome big ministry for children, for adults, for babies, for everyone. We have so many, thank you. We have so much going on, but it does not mean that we have plenty of volunteers. And it's our responsibility to go out and get them. We find a lot of times this, we have the Fab Five that you just ask over and over and over and over. And that Fab Five dies and they don't want to be there anymore and they want to get out. And we do not want that at our church. We want them. We want that Fab Five to grow, and we're going to talk about that later. We want to take those volunteers and grow them to be the leaders of the next volunteers. Obviously, we all know we should be praying. That's the number one thing. God says, where are you going to get laborers? Ask me for it. So if you are not praying, I am not, it never fails. We have done everything to have everything set. Sunday morning, all of the children's ministry workers, all of the nursery workers, all of whoever needs to be where they're supposed to be. And if we are not continually praying, asking God for those people to be there, Sunday morning, 5 text messages later at 7:30 a.m. Oh, wow, church starts at 8:30. Great. None of you are going to be there. Fabulous. Thank you. Hope you have a good day. I'll be praying for you. That happens. But it happens so much more when we are not asking God to send us those laborers. So that discipleship, and I know this is these are ones you're like, okay, yes, we do this. Yes, we do this. And I'm telling you, my key people that I have spent one-on-one time with discipleship, those are our key leaders in our church. Brad Halverson right there. He's been discipled at our church. He is now on staff at our church. He recruits so many people at our church. He has done so much, but it's because there has been investment from my brother him and my brother are super tight, and he has invested in him and invested in him and invested in him. And because of that, there has grown a great leadership and a huge help now to Liberty Baptist Church and the Las Vegas Valley. So now to get to some fun things we do. We do non-volunteer night every 2 or 3 years. Have anybody ever heard of anything like this before? Okay, we actually got it from, I think it was Micaiah Ermler's church. We were sitting with Micaiah at lunch one day, and he's like, oh, if you need volunteers, this is a great idea. And it's so fun, but you can only do it every couple of years. It's got to be on a Sunday night or a Wednesday night, not tons of visitors. And what you do, only the pastoral staff knows until that evening. And what you do is there is no childcare, no media, no music, no ushers, absolutely no volunteers. Then the pastor preaches about the body of Christ and how important each member. Aren't you glad that nursery worker is normally there? And it's a short message and it's fun. And what they'll normally do, the pastor, my dad will be like, oh, we're always doing an offering, So he'll be like, we're gonna need some ushers in here. So he'll get people to jump up and do that, or we'll have he'll say, hey, let's add some music to this. Hey, Tiffany, why don't you come up here? Bring your babies up here to sit with you because, there's no nursery, there's no class. And it gets everybody, it enlightens them into, wow, it takes so many people to run the body of Christ. And then it lets them understand that you're not just wiping bottoms in nursery. You're allowing the Spirit of God to move in the middle of a church service. You're doing so much. So it allows them. So that's a fun idea to implement. If you don't have a website link, ours is a bad example right now because it's down. But if you don't have a website link that says, hey, if you're interested in serving, you will get people that are non-members, non-Christians. Oh, I want to serve at a church, They can fill out a form. That form then goes in, and then you can contact them. And there's a lot of, we do a lot of service in the community, and those community services, those are awesome things to get non-members to come and be a part of. So you can be like, oh yeah, we have public school Bible clubs. We allow non-members to be part of. They still have to go through the training because we do CEF, so they have to go through whatever the CEF training is. So we have right now, I think, 3 people who attend the church that are non-members that teach at our public school Bible club, but they come to our church all the time, and it's been a filter through that's brought them into the church. So you obviously you have your own. We require working with our children's ministry. we scrutinize everybody, but there's ways so that you can then contact, hey, yeah, if you want to be this kind of part of the ministry, you have to be a member, and we have a membership class, and you can bring them right in, and it's just a tool to bring them in. So if you don't have that, get in with there. My sister, my husband came home about 2 years ago, and honestly, I knew this was coming. Neil came home, and he's like, hey, guess what? We got a raise. And I'm like, are you kidding? I'm like, static. And he's like, yeah, and you're also the new nursery director. And I say, give the raise back. I want no part of the nursery. I know I want no part of the nursery. Not that I don't like these little babies. It's just hard to deal with postpartum moms, and it's hard to deal with new moms, and it's difficult. And I thought, I know how difficult it is. I don't want it. But the Holy Spirit really smote my heart as soon as those words passed out of my mouth. Like, Charity, you told God, if you want me to go to Africa, I'll go. Yeah. If you want me to go to Tanzania, whatever. But you're not willing to watch the babies in the nursery. You can't manage 2 nurseries and a nursing mother's room. You can't do that. I called my sister. She is one of my main core encouragers in my life, and I called her, and I'm like, well, guess what? I'm the lead bottom wiper at the church now. And she's like, she died laughing, and she's like, oh, I'm so sorry. And I said, I know, I can do what God wants me to do. She then, an hour later, called me back, and she's like, you know what? This is what you're going to do. You're going to make this an elite club. That is what you're going to do. You're going to make this where everyone wants to work. She sent me everything off of Pinterest she possibly could. And I was amazed because I seriously was just like, I know what this is. I've grown up in ministry. I have seen the nursery directors, and I'm like, those poor women. I have prayed for them. I have always been behind them. I support you. And my sister said, this is what we're going to do. She sent me, and we haven't done this yet, but it's something I have pushed for. She sent me things like, instead of, and I don't think most people do this anymore, but a pastor's spot to, parking spot, it's the volunteer of the month spot. Now people like that. It's like, oh, you cherish your volunteers. She sent me, shirts like, this is the nursery worker of the month. This is the, hey, when you do your monthly meetings, you can do this. My husband is so amazing at implementing this. He gets, every time we have anything going on, he's always he gets up at 5 and goes and takes donuts and juice and all the things for all of our workers. He does this periodically, once a month, honey, for Sunday mornings? It's like every once in a while when you're like, okay, I really don't want to wake up and go today. And you think, okay, if I don't want to, and this is my life, then I'm going to encourage those other people. And it makes you excited about doing it. So then when they come, and I am all about the social media with it. I'm like, look how amazing our children's workers, but it's praising them. It's not praising, look at what my amazing husband did for you. It's saying, look, we value you. We are so amazed at what you guys do for us. So, and it's not for us, it's for God. When you make it an elite club, the little 10 and 11, we 12-year-old girls work in the nursery, in the toddler side. When they all, when they do their bathroom break and they have to pass by, every Sunday, if I'm in there and they're looking in, because 10, 11-year-old girls are like, ooh, all about it. I'm like, 12 years old, you get to be in here, and they want to. My niece turned 12. She turned 12 in December, and she was like, 37 more days, Aunt Charity. And I'm like, yeah? What? She's like, 37 more days, and I get to work in the nursery. And it creates a buzz. Even with the younger ones, you want them to have that. And they already have that mentality of that desire to be in it, but just creating it and growing with it and going with it. Even though you're making it an elite club, you are asking every qualified, able-bodied person that is available that you can lead. So there are people that I just can't lead. And you have to recognize that. They're not going to listen to what I have to say. Not just, oh, they're so unteachable. But okay, maybe I am not somebody that they can follow. And so I don't bring them under my leadership if I don't have to, because that can cause a lot of division. But anybody that is qualified, and like I said, for our children's, we are very specific. Everybody goes through background checks, and everybody, you have to be. And I have to have a good feeling about you too. That's, I just don't, there's people that I'm like, no, I think this might be a better fit for you, just because if I don't feel comfortable, and you should, go with your gut feeling. My husband, this is very helpful, gets me a list of all the new members each month. And I contact those ladies and teens asking them if they'd like to serve once or twice a month. So that's the new members. They've gone through the membership class. They've done all that. And once a month, so I get those, and immediately I'm on it. Because they're at a new church. They don't even know what to do. And they're excited to be there. They want to be there. They just went through, for us, they just went through a 6-week course. And now they're so excited to be part, and they can now officially serve there. So grab it get it when you can. Hospitality. How do you guys incorporate hospitality? I really, for us, because I know it can get expensive, and you won't believe how cheap I am. So I really am. So we have, one of our favorite things that we've done is we do a game and dessert night. And it's a potluck dessert night. So they bring the desserts. So we will get like 2 families that serve. They love it, and they've been in it, and they do wonderful. Then we'll get 2 people that are brand new, two new sets of families. And we'll say, come on over. Each family will bring a dessert. I provide the filtered water from my refrigerator and paper plates because I don't want to stay up washing all the dishes later. And we do games. And when we do that, I'm not even purposefully going out of my way to ask somebody, like, oh, I'm going to manipulate you. I'm going to have you over for ice cream and coffee, and now I'm going to lower the boom. No, I'm not. It doesn't do it. Just this last week, I think it was last week, we have people over a lot. But when they were over, I was looking, I'm like, hey, you would be great for nursery. It just came to my mind. And it wasn't, you don't want to do it in like the group. Hey, you'd be great for nursery. You want to serve in nursery? And then everyone's like, she's like, no, I really don't. But I was just talking to her, and she's playing with the kids. And I'm like, hey, you would, and she's like, oh, I would love to. Can I? And I'm like, yes, I will allow it. So we invite people normally with a purpose. We used to have people over kind of randomly, but we homeschool. We have, it takes a lot to keep the house clean when people coming over, like 4 kids. So we are purposeful with and then the other thing that we tend to do, and if you might think like McDonald's is hokey, but we will take families out to get $1 ice cream cones at McDonald's, and the kids love it. Everybody likes ice cream, and it's a cheap way to do that. We also I like the frozen yogurt up the street, but that's a little pricier. Invest in them as your ministry, and then ultimately they will turn around and have a ministry because you chose to invest in their life. So when you look at them, you're like, they are my ministry. I am going to invest in you. They will want to just have turnaround. One of my very best girlfriends is named Melinda, and the first thing we ever did, she came to church on Sunday, and we went out to dinner, and I asked her about discipleship. So I was 21, 22. That woman, now my kids call her Aunt Melinda, and but I invested in her. I say, yeah, you want to do discipleship? Yeah, I want to do discipleship. You want to go door knocking? Yeah, I want to go door knocking. You're free. The only day you're free is Saturday. You want to go door knocking with me? Okay, great. So I got to invest in her life, and she has invested so much in the church. I'll tell you a really quick story. She's so funny because she just disciples more than anyone that I truly know. She's a single lady. And she'll see me in the hallway, and she'll be like, you got a great granddaughter now. Because she's like, I'm your spiritual daughter. Then she's like twice the age of you, Charity. And it's so neat to see people multiplying. She had somebody, this is incredible. You don't do discipleship with people to get anything out of them. You know, you're not doing stuff to get, you know, like, oh, I'm investing in you because I want from you. She invested in this lady, another single lady. The lady turned around and said, she did discipleship with her, and she said, you know what? You've been my spiritual leader, and no one's ever taught me anything like this. She is an older lady, about 20 years older than her. She said, I'm taking a cruise to Israel next year, and I want to take you with me. And she got to, because of that investment. And that is nothing. There's nothing that she was trying to get out of anybody. It's just investing. And that woman, that older lady serves. This like 65-year-old lady serves at our Camp Liberty. That Camp Liberty is crazy controlled chaos, but she serves in that area. It's so neat. Flexible volunteers. If you haven't done this, and you might be thinking, flexible volunteers, yeah, all my volunteers are flexible. They're there 1 week and then they're not there 3 weeks later. But flexible volunteers, allow them to be flexible. So when you're asking them, when you're luring them in, you're baiting them, you ask them, would you be willing to serve once a week? Is that something you'd be or once a month? Would you be interested in serving nursery just once a month? Is that try it out, and then if you like it, then we can fill you into spots that maybe you can do twice. It never fails for me. We had one person that told Neil, never put me with 8 through 11-year-olds ever again. And he is an awesome man. He teaches Bible studies at our church, but he's like, please, I can't handle them. I don't know how you can even control them. But that also gives him an appreciation for when his little kids go to your classes. He's not going to be complaining about those teachers ever. So let them be weekly, bi-weekly, quarterly, yearly. We have our school teachers, because we have a school at our church. They do not want to be, some of them ask to be seasonal. I don't want to be with the same kids all summer long. So I will serve seasonally. During the summer, I will just do 3 of the big days that you have. Like our thing is Camp Liberty. You might have like VBS. I'll serve just in VBS, but I'm not going to teach this. Let them do that. Let them switch. They're not taking a break from ministry. Don't ever let anybody take a break from ministry. Have them switch ministries. You need to get a break from the 2-year-olds so you can switch and greet others. You need to take a break from doing the parking lot ministry so you can sing in the choir. But when they take a break, and then they take a break from church, and then they take a break from everything that we're always needing continually minister. I taught our honeybees class, which is like a 2-year-old's class, for like 4 years, and I'm like, get me out of here. It's like, get me with somebody that's comprehensive, that can understand what I'm talking about. So allow them to be flexible. Okay, social media. I think a lot of us get this, but I constantly see it still. People put on social media, hey, we still need workers for this, and they're blasting out. And then the same one person's like, no, I can't do it. And that's all you get on your social media. If you're going to use social media, don't do a group message in Messenger. They're going to hate you. They're going to disown they're going to takes you forever to opt out, and they're going to opt out. They're going to be like, I am so tired of them nagging me. But when you have that personal contact and you're texting, it might take you longer, but you know what? You're going to have that connection better. They're not going to hate you. And they can say to your face, or they can say just straight to you, no, I really can't, instead of, I don't want to know, everybody else know how I don't want to serve for you, or I don't want to serve for, I sound so unspiritual if I say, no, I don't want to serve. So use social media wisely. No group texting. We almost never do that. We avoid at all costs Facebook and Instagram posts of desperation, because that's what they are. They're like, hi, I couldn't talk to anybody else and get anything. Now there's different things. Like our Christmas experience that we do is epic. people around town want to volunteer and be part of this. So when you put this already up, if you put that on social media, that's not a bad thing. Everybody's like, yeah, can I please do the rock wall again? I really like the rock wall. Oh, and that's fine. But when you're doing like, I still need 18 workers for the 3-year-olds, and no one wants to be in there. Obviously, you're showing it's desperate. And you're showing this is not an elite club. No one wants to be part of it. So be aware of that. If you want more volunteers, I really love this. This is out of one of the books that these are book suggestions, mostly from my husband. If you want more, where did it go? If you want more volunteers, make heroes of the ones you already have. So that's what we should use social media for. So these people that have been serving for the last 5 years, or they're brand new serving for the last 3 weeks. They might not even be the member. This one lady I think of named Lauren, I love her. She's been in my home. They're not members yet. She's a nurse. She's pregnant with her first kid. Hers is the next volunteer highlight because she volunteers in our public school. And I want her to know that, hey, we are so appreciative of you. And people get to know her that way. I highlighted a family in our church named Jose and Aaron Miano, and I've been friends with them all of our lives. Everyone was like, we love Jose and Aaron. We're so thankful because they run our Awana ministry. And those are the kinds of posts you want to use social media for. For retention, we have that you should properly train. My husband's really good at this. Something that Neil's gone to many different churches and done training sessions. That's a fun thing for a church because you're bringing in somebody else. And they're coming like, hey, this is what they do. It helps revitalize that ministry. Hey, we're going to have a children's ministry workshop. It's going to be, and it's made to be a fun thing. Instead of, okay, we're having training again, guys. And so bringing somebody else in is a fabulous way to get, to keep that great volunteer that you've had forever and you don't want to lose. How can you keep coming?
What are other ways that people have shown appreciation, maybe at your ministry, or maybe someone has shown you appreciation as you serve, and maybe insightful for another ministry?
Yeah, does anybody have something like that? Like, oh, yes.
We once a year do a volunteer banquet type breakfast for all of our.
And you've already started doing that?
We do it. Yeah, we've been doing it. They've done it for several years.
So who do you have put that on? That's a really good.
Those staff.
That's the staff, the church staff. Yeah. That's awesome. We did a dinner like that. That's wonderful. And did that?
Mm-hmm. And we do a $5 or $10 gift card to like Panera
and it shows them. I mean, how did they respond to that? Was it like somebody does something for me?
Highlight one, of the year, like a volunteer of the year during that time, and give them a bigger, nicer gift, and just talk about how important their ministries are to us.
I love that. And then you highlight the ministry until that's great. Anybody else have something that you're like, hey, we do this on, weekly, bi-weekly, whatever, None of you appreciate your volunteers. Yes.
We do this for multiple reasons, but it's not just appreciation.
Yeah.
I think that's part of it. Is right now we're doing one service, so it works really well.
Yeah.
Before the ministries and everything, we have this thing called our team huddle. It's really quick and it's really to get energy going and everything.
Yeah.
But there's like a small breakfast and everything, and then we'll do different things, whether it's someone's birthday.
You do this once a week?
Every week.
Every week. You do a team huddle before church?
Yeah.
So what, like 20 minutes before?
No,
or
really quick.
Okay.
Well, before the ministry, so it's a good while.
Right, because you're there early.
It's about 45 minutes.
And you're the music guy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, before the ministry started.
Okay.
Everyone's in there, and so we'll honor an individual or a ministry or a coordinator of a ministry and just kind of highlight different things.
So it's like a 5-minute thing?
It's about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
We give them 10 minutes to get in there, but it's really get in, get out, get together, get energy.
That's awesome. Who started that? Was that you or Josh? Was like, hey, did he ask you to do it? Like, were you, or does he do it? Does he lead that?
The staff that leads it. The staff
okay.
we kind of switch around.
Okay. And so that's a great idea. I love that. That builds camaraderie instead of like, hey, we're sitting around the piano or the guitar and we're just like all tired because we're here at, 8 o'clock in the morning on Sunday. That's great. I love that. You celebrate birthdays and stuff, and that's cool. Anybody else got something that they're like, yes?
I had an idea that came to me. I haven't really had the chance to implement it, but having been on deputation and having individuals in the church come up and volunteer to do something special for us because they appreciate what we do, I think it's so important to train the people in the church to individually reward the volunteers, almost as a volunteer for the volunteers.
Yes, I get what you're saying, like that they emulate what has been already done.
So they
Yes.
can see within the individuals in the church are
Right.
actually appreciating and not just specific leaders in the church.
Yes. Yeah, I love that. That is, yeah. And it's just continually, it's discipling people. It's the next thing. That's awesome. Celebrating a win is huge. If you've trained your people to do something and they did it and you just go home, I mean, that's like, they worked so stinking hard and they did things that you don't even know that they did. And if you don't celebrate that win, celebrating that win could just be a text saying, man, this was awesome yesterday. Can you believe it? Can you believe what God did? God used each of you, naming them. Hey, Sarah, you were great with those kids. I saw you when you're helping that mom take that kid to their class. And I saw, and having those, that is celebrating a win. And if you don't, you're going to lose people because they're going to be like, I don't even care that I'm here. And you're like, yes, I care. Please don't leave us. After a large event, contact individually each volunteer with the results of the event. My husband is so good at this stuff. I'm telling you, he should be the one teaching this. We do a Christmas party we used to do, like, here's a party for the Awana workers. Here's a party for the Sunday school workers, because it's a big size we have good size amount of people. But they were kind of like, it got to the point because it's like, oh, am I supposed to be at this? Kind of like, oh, is this a required party? And you're like, no one has to come to our house. So we started doing a once-a-year children's ministry party, and oh my word, people love it. It's huge. They get lots of prizes. They get they're crazy games that he does, but they get really good prizes. So everyone's jumping on and being involved. You have the 65-year-old lady that's like, I'll do it because they want to be part of it. But then it also has that connection of all the different ministries connecting together. We're one ministry and we're serving together with all the children. So it is nursery, Awana, Sunday mornings, the Wednesday night crowds. So anyway, that's where we go with that. We give awards, like you were saying. Something I've really loved from the Craig Rochelle podcast is he always is talking about stop dictating and start inspiring. And that's very helpful for me because I want to come in, just quite honestly, as a mom, you see, that's what you're doing all day long, right? You're dictating. We should be inspiring our kids to do what's right. But you're like, pick this up, do this, get it done. Okay, and we're running everything. Instead of inspiring them to be the ones that start raising up and inspiring them to be the volunteer that ends up being the leader. That's what we want. I think of a man named Samson that's at our church. I'll close with this. He is, we met him. Honey, I was pregnant, 6 months pregnant with our oldest, with Trey. We go to their door. They had come to our church one time. We were their first visit afterwards. And he didn't even want to be at our church that day. He's this big, what is he, Cuban guy? I don't know, from New York. He has a thick accent. And we come to his door, and this is my life. I'm fine with nuts. It doesn't offend me if you slam the door in my face. I don't care if you don't want my track. It doesn't bother me. This has just been my life. I don't take it personally. So I am huge pregnant. It's end of the summer, and we knock on his door, and Samson opens the door, and he's like, Neil's like, hey, we're from Liberty Baptist Church. I don't want any of your stuff. He starts swearing at us, yelling at us. And I'm like, okay, shut the door. And then you hear the woman inside say, oh, she was pregnant. I can't believe you talked to her like that. And they start yelling and fighting at each other. And then I was like, okay. And we left. Didn't even think about them again until probably, 3-4 years later when we're out door knocking with them. And they're like, because we door knocked with them every Saturday for a couple of years. And he's like, Charity, do you remember when, he has this thick accent, do you remember when I slammed the door in your face? And I'm like, what? And I'm like, no, I have no remembrance. Then he starts telling me this story. And he was the reason they came back was because she made him feel so bad for doing what he did to that tiny little pregnant lady that was standing there. Anyway, when they would come, we'd just always talk to them, be like, hey, you want to do discipleship? Hey, you want to go door knocking with us? Hey, you want to do this? Hey, why don't you serve? That man today, he invests so much in my 11-year-old little boy. Every Sunday morning, he teaches apologetics to my 11-year-old boy, and he comes home telling us how excited about what he has learned, things that I've never even heard about, because Samson is so dedicated in wanting to know the truth. When he learned the truth, he wanted to share it with others. And he was teaching now my kid that he yelled at while I was standing there. And every week he teaches them. He became a volunteer. We were able to invest in him. Now he's a leader that brings in other volunteers. And that is our ultimate goal with leading volunteers. You don't want to be the one that's doing it all. You don't want to be the one, you're wanting them. He said to me after a few times, we told him, okay, well, we're going to go door knocking with these people. And he says, oh, I get it. We're supposed to do this with other people now, huh? And he got it. That's exactly it. We're not here to be in life besties with you, Samson. Albeit we love you, I'm praying for you, but every day of our lives isn't going to be like we've done holidays with them, but it's not going to be every single holiday that we're hanging out with you. You're going to do this with somebody else, and that brings in, and when you have that mindset, your ministry will flourish. You can take I didn't get to go through everything, but you can take some of these ideas and you start implementing them. It'll take a while to get to the place where you want it to be. This past Sunday, all I did in nursery, I manage the nursery now. All I really did was say, is everything good in here? You need anything? Oh yeah, we're good. That's what I did. We have 4 services that have to be filled with 6 people in each one of them. I don't know what that is, 6 and 4, 24. Yeah. This is in math class. And I didn't have to do, beforehand, I text them and make sure everything good. And that's where you want to be. You want to get to a place where the other people in there, we have a lady named Jenny. She checks on everything. If there's a problem, she texts me, she lets me know. She has become the leader there, and they don't rely constantly on me. Anybody have any closing remarks or anything that you want to add in there? Anybody that you're like, hey, you know what, we did this, and I'd like to, this has been helpful for us. Or if you have questions that you're like, okay, how did that work out when you had, you had the people volunteer online? Anybody? I have 2 talkers that I know that are right in the front row, and I am so shocked they have not said one simple thing.
Just been talking amongst ourselves.
Oh, well, add it on here.
I had a thought, but it's probably dumb.
I want to hear it.
So.
Nope, that's what Idea Day is for. There's no dumb thoughts. Give your idea day.
But I apologize for everything. And we planted a church 7 years ago, and we came in thinking, we're here to minister to you. We're here to serve you. We don't want you to be out of the services or anything. So we were the one-man band, horses.
And you weren't getting any ministry yourself.
Well, we just couldn't do it.
Yeah, right.
So then I'm not sure. We kind of maybe created a little bit of a culture of consumerism because we were doing everything for everybody.
Yeah.
And so then I would just apologize for everything. I would say, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Are you okay in the nursery? I'm sorry. And I don't know who said it to me. Maybe the Lord said, stop saying sorry. And that might be dumb.
Yeah.
It sounds like you're a little past that because you're like, this is great.
Right.
And then you throw confetti in their face. But I'm like, so I would have been the other extreme of being like, I'm really, and I just stopped doing that because it's not a drudgery. It is a sacrifice.
Yeah.
And I do acknowledge the sacrifice.
Yeah.
Because I think if we don't acknowledge the sacrifice, that's just kind of a joke.
Right.
Those people are coming in and they're working hard.
Right.
So acknowledging the sacrifice, but then not apologizing, because it's a privilege to serve the Lord.
Right.
And even, the least.
And they're not serving for you.
Right.
Because if they are serving for you, they're going to be gone within a couple of years. I'm doing this because this is for Jenny. But when they're serving, when you've gotten them, when you've trained their mentality to understand, I am doing this for God, instead, I'll take your place so you can go and service. No, it is nice when people are like, hey, you've been in here, I'll take your place. I do that a lot that's what I usually end up doing with our nursery workers. I'll say, hey, you know what? I don't think you've been, because we do not want burnout at all. And I didn't get to speak about that. But you do not want burnout. You don't want to put the person in. We have a what is it called? Two
ministry policy.
Yeah.
2 different ministries.
You have to go to 2 services in every, you have to attend 2 services in order to serve. So we have 4, 5, I don't know, available to go to and serve in, but you have to be, I have seen people take teenage girls and burn them to the ground, and they don't even attend church anymore because the teenage girl's like, yeah, I'll serve there. Yeah, I'll do 2s and 3s, and then I'll go into nursery. Okay, and they don't even get to go to anything where they are growing. So be so careful about burnout. All right, I think we're good. Yes. 2 services a week. That's what they need to sit in Sunday school and church or whatever. That's our policy.
Come one, serve the other.
Yeah, so they come, and so we tell them that they need to be in sitting in like a Sunday school.
Yeah, like a Bible study, that would classify as one. Sunday morning, Sunday night, or Wednesday night. So be in 2 a week.
So we technically have like 4. We have a lot, but if we expect people to go Sunday school, Sunday morning Bible study, whatever we call it now, Sunday school, church, then Sunday night church, and then Wednesday night. That's what our requirements are. But the idea is to get them to go to church twice.
Them to be getting filled with the Word of God, to be able to serve. So obviously, if they're serving more than they're getting the Word of God, it's going to be. They're going to be like a dry sponge that's trying to get water out. That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So that's what we want to do.
All right. Any other questions? We need to close because I don't want to be late. All right. Let's go to the next breakout session, I think.
Thanks so much for listening to today's Idea Talks. If you would like to reach out to us, drop us an email at joshtice@ideanetwork.church. If you benefited from this podcast, we ask that you take a moment to show your support by subscribing, rating, and reviewing the podcast on iTunes. Thanks again for joining us, and we will see you right here again at the Idea Talks podcast.